American Synthesis Party video lecture series part 2. I'm Alex Van Allen. The subject of this lecture is trade deficits and the federal deficit. You ever stop and think where most of the money goes that you pay for a gallon of gasoline? A large part of it goes to the major oil producing and exporting nations that we must buy oil from. Because we pay so much to foreign countries for their oil, it is a major component of our trade deficit. Most people don't understand exactly how our trade deficit hurts us. When a nation is running up a tab with other countries, as we are today, it gives the creditor countries bargaining power that they would not otherwise have. It gives them excessive dollar reserves that they can then use to buy our productive assets as well as our bonds. In turn, we end up owing them even more money in the form of interest that has to be paid on our bonds. We are taking our national wealth and the wealth that could be available for future generations of Americans, and we are giving it to people in foreign countries. We are giving our money to people that we may have little in common with and that we may not like very much. We have been living beyond our means as a nation. This is common knowledge. But how do we break the cycle? How can we drastically reduce our trade deficit? The first step is to reduce our dependence on foreign oil. The ASP has a realistic plan to drastically reduce our dependence on foreign oil. But if I reveal details of this plan, someone else will likely take it and run with it, leaving me and the ASP out in the cold. Therefore, I reserve the right to keep details of this plan a secret at this stage. But at some point, if people decide to give me and my party a chance, I'll have to deliver the goods. And I will. I will unveil a plan that will ensure that for the next 10 to 15 years after the plan's implementation, Americans do not have to pay more than $3 at most for a gallon of gasoline. People will say that this is not much different from what they're paying now. This is true, but in the very near future, we will once again be paying more than $5 for a gallon of gasoline. This bloated disposable income will send the economy into the tank again, and the unemployment rate will rise dramatically. We cannot afford to let this happen. The ASP can prevent this from happening. Now that we have tackled a major part of the trade deficit, how do we reduce the deficit in government spending? One way is to decrease certain taxes. That's right, the government can actually take in more revenue by decreasing certain taxes and by changing the tax structure. In addition, we will need to reduce spending and entitlements across the board. In short, we will need to adopt certain austerity measures, much like the Europeans have done. We can no longer afford to give everyone what they want or what they feel they deserve. Everyone must be willing to make certain sacrifices. And if you're not willing to make some personal sacrifices to help the condition of our country over the longer term, then your loyalty as an American must be questioned. We got ourselves into this situation by attempting to give everyone what they want. As a consequence, we now find ourselves in a situation in which everyone must be willing to make certain sacrifices. Admittedly, an effort should be made to distribute these sacrifices as evenly as possible so that no one has to bear a disproportionate share of them. This is a dramatic change from the message that most politicians use to curry favor with the American people. Most politicians try to tell people things to make them feel good. Most try to tell people what they believe they want to hear rather than what they need to hear to make the situation better over the longer term. I'm no politician. God didn't stick me on this rock to win a popularity contest. There are times when feeling good can be opposed to thinking straight. Now is no time to feel good. Now is the time to think straight. Thank you for your attention. This concludes the second lecture.